Hello guys and welcome back to The Apprentice, and today we are going to be talking about the vegan cheese episode, and I cannot tell you how uncomfortable I felt watching this episode. I am not a vegan. I fully respect vegans. I think that they are definitely a lot stronger than I am. And I also think that they're incredible because how do they eat vegan cheese and pretend to enjoy it? That's my question. But on the whole, this episode was actually it was all right. It was decent. It's very clear who they want to make it to the final and who they don't want to make it to the final at this point. It is a little bit jarring, and it's making me sort of like, it takes the fun out of watching The Apprentice when you realise that the whole thing is rigged. And that's something that I didn't realise about The Apprentice until watching it and sort of listening to some interviews with people and things like that. But yeah, either way, we are here to talk about today's episode. But before we get into that, I just want to say thank you guys very much for the support. You guys are absolutely smashing it. We're up to 822. We're on our way to 900. And I gotta say, let's keep on moving. If you're not subscribed and you're enjoying these videos, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. That's the most important thing. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. I'm enjoying making them at the moment. So yeah, let's get straight into the video, shall we? So, like I said, this was a vegan alternative to cheese thing. That's what they came up with as like an acronym for it. It was a decent episode. I think both teams had flaws. I think both teams had strengths. And I think one team was shafted, unbelievably so. I think that it's really unfair to have three people on a team. So Trey got moved over to Team Nexus, and Team Nexus had Flo, Phil, Paul, and Trey. And I was like, that's an overpowered team. Interesting choices there. The only person that could have made it better is if they switched Phil out for Rachel. But I think having three people on a team severely limited Supreme from being able to achieve anything better than they did. I'll start with Supreme just because I think that that's the easiest way to start. Rachel was basically like, I've had vegan cheese on a burger. And they were like, that makes you project manager because we have no experience with vegan cheese. I think this is a tough challenge because unless you are a vegan, you're not sure what is going to appeal to vegans and what's going to make people want to buy your product. I think that's the biggest issue here. And immediately Rachel was like, I think we've got to make it exotic and really go out there, make it a unique product and really try and get people to buy our product that way. I think that's a smart idea, and I think it was a smart premise. But then Rachel was like, oh, Felicia, I'm going to leave you to do the marketing on your own. Now, if I was project manager and somebody had to go on their own, I would go on my own. Because I'm project manager, if the task falls down, it's because of me. If the other task falls down, well, there was two of you, so what happened there? I just wouldn't have put Felicia in the branding and marketing section on her own. I think that she probably could have done a good job if there was somebody else there to help guide her or just give her something to bounce off of. Because as we found, Felicia really struggled with this. And I think, and like later on, Rachel was like, oh, well, in business, you'll have to do it on your own, etc. And I was like, yeah, but you're not having to do it in one day with a deadline, with limited resources, and not a lot of help. Like, there is still some input. So, like, I don't know, leaving Felicia to do this on her own was a bit uncomfortable and was a bit dodgy, I won't lie. But she did the best she could. She came up with Big Softy as the name of the cheese, or vegan cheese, and I think it was a good name. And it's definitely a brand name that would have stuck out to me and made me go, oh, that's cool. But the packaging just wasn't incredibly clear on what it was flavoured as. I'll get onto the flavouring in a little bit, but the flavour was just not very clear on the packaging. It was on the underside, so you'd have to pick it up, turn it around, etc. So it just wasn't clear enough. I think that the orange theme was kind of alluding to the flavour, but obviously not everyone sort of links that colour with the flavour. The video, bless Felicia, she had to do the video on her own. She had to star in it, direct it, edit it, all of that by herself. Yeah, that was tough to watch. It was really unfortunate for her, I think, actually, because I think she could have done something again if there was just someone to bounce ideas off of. But she kind of did it, and then when like the final product came out, they were like, oh, this is not actually that good. Yeesh. I think it was a great idea for like a viral like video kind of marketing campaign kind of thing, but it needed a bit more life in it, and it needed a bit more information about the product, because once again there was no information about the flavoring. There was barely an allusion to the fact it was vegan cheese, and then the name of the brand almost seemed like an afterthought that came right at the end. Just a litany of problems that arose here, and I just felt bad for this team because, like I said, they were one person short, and I really do think that they maybe should have done the whole thing together rather than splitting off into two groups. That's just how I feel about it. Now we're on to the flavouring. The flavouring they decided to go for was curry flavoured. Now, cheese and curry is something that I would point blank refuse to put together. I think in my head, like, I won't even go for a cheesy naan. That's no, because that's not getting dipped in my curry. I'm really particular with cheese. I only like cheese in certain situations, and sometimes cheese is too cheesy. Sometimes it's not cheesy enough. I'm very particular. So vegan cheese just does not appeal to me at all, because I'm like, if I don't even like cheese, what makes you think I'm gonna like vegan cheese? So, yeah. But going for a curried vegan cheese was an interesting choice. I just think that they should have gone for something a little bit more widely accepted. Does that make sense? Like, curry and cheese is not a popular mixture of ingredients. So I think trying to build a brand around that is potentially difficult and not gonna work out the way that they want it to. I have no doubt that Steve and Rachel liked the taste of it, but I think the problem with food is that everyone has different tastes, and especially with something like this, curry and cheese is such an acquired taste that not many people like it. I know that if I was eating it, I probably wouldn't enjoy it, and so if I picked it up and I brought it home and I saw it was curry flavoured, I'd either give it to somebody or I'd chuck it in the bin. I don't think I'd eat it, and I'd be pissed off that I bought it and wasted my money on it. So yeah, not a great start for them. When they went to the experts, they basically did 3 lots of things. They did talking to experts, then they went to talk to the public, and then they went to Tesco's and pitched their product. With the experts, they just thought that the packaging wasn't clear enough as to what flavour it was. Like I mentioned earlier, it just didn't really work out. The logo was also trashed on. It looked like a cheese wheel, which I thought was cool. And then like the section that was cut out was coloured in green to look like the vegan sign. It was a smart idea. I just don't think it was big enough or bold enough. It just kind of looked a bit shit. Whereas I think if the V had just been a little bit bolder, it might have worked out and it might have actually looked okay. They also said that there was no product in the video, so how do they know what's being sold? It just was a little bit confusing. And when they went to go pitch to Tesco's, oh good God, pitching to Tesco's was absolutely abysmal. Like, genuinely, they did it so bad. So badly. It was just one knockback after another. It just didn't really go great. But yeah, it is what it is. There's not really much you can do about it. Okay, on to Team Supreme. No, Team Nexus is the next one. Phil had to be project manager. That was a non-negotiable from Lord Sugar this week. And I don't know whether they rigged it so that it would be a food challenge, but like, oh, I knew Phil might win this challenge just because he's so good at the food-related tasks. Apart from the mini cheesecakes, he did fuck up the mini cheesecakes. But again, was that his fault, or was it other people on his team just being absolutely useless? Anyway, moving on. Trey and Flo were put onto branding. I thought that was a smart idea. They decided to go for their name as Scrumptious Spreads, which actually was a very, very good name. Their packaging, absolutely abysmal. Like, genuinely probably the worst we've seen it this year. It was just too small, and it didn't give us any information about the fact that it was vegan cheese, or it was vegan cheese spread, or whatever it was. It just didn't tell me anything. It just said Scrumptious Spreads, and then, like, truffle flavoured, or whatever it was. Yeah, the logo was a bit empty. The colours were nice, but again, it didn't really link to the product. It just felt a little bit messy. And then Trey got Flo to rap, I say rap, loosely rhyme in her video, in her TikTok video. The transitions were good. The video visually looked quite good. Audibly, it was okay. Flo did her best. I still think Trey should have done it because Trey was the one that was most confident with it. I don't know why Flo did it and why she wasn't like behind the camera. But I thought that it was still a better video than the other team, and it still had some good vibes. I just think that the music in the background needed to be a bit unsa. It just needs to have a little bit more life in it in order to give the video itself more life. Then we get to the flavouring. The flavouring was truffle flavoured. And truffle is a very overpowering flavour, as is. They also added in like caramelized red onion and this and that and like vegan bacon. At first they put bacon and they said bacon and I was like, but it's a vegan product. And then I was like, oh, vegan bacon. Yeah, fair. So yeah, on the whole, I feel like this team had a good product with poor branding, whereas the other team just was poor. So yeah, I think this was definitely an interesting way to go about it. When they went to go meet the experts basically were like, yo, there's a disconnect between the high-end product and the video, which is kind of a bit shit. And then they were also like, there's a lack of truffle flavour in here. I think that they accidentally fucked up the measurements of truffle that they were going to put in. So there's only like a hint of truffle and other flavours are now overpowering or something like that. But then when they were pitching to Tesco's, it seemed like Tesco's were kind of like, okay, yeah, we could work with this kind of. So I feel like this is a good sign for Team Nexus. Am I happy about that? I wanted Paul to go home. I can't believe he's made it this far on 9 losses. It's just ridiculous at the end of the day, isn't it? But that is all we can say about Team Nexus. Let's head into the boardroom now. So, we're in the boardroom. The boardroom was tense, to say the least. Lord Sugar liked the taste of Nexus's product, but hated the branding. And I think he found humour in the video, which was good. I think that was definitely a positive point from him. However, for Team Supreme, he was like, well, it does taste like curry, so that's a good thing. However, why on earth would you leave Felicia on her own to do the branding? Surely you should have put 2 people on the branding and 1 person on the flavour. But Rachel was kind of defending her decision, being like, I needed someone to be like, this tastes shit, just in case like it did and I liked it or something like that. So I can understand why she did it. But again, I still feel like it's really unfair to make 1 person do all of that work. And I think that's unfair not on Rachel, but on the production as a whole. Having 3 people on a team just doesn't really work, does it? So that was the boardroom. There wasn't really much else to talk about. On to the results. Team Nexus received 3,000 units from the experts. I think is what that was from. And then 15,000 units from Tesco's, giving them 18,000 units of sales in total. Team Supreme got no orders from anyone. They ended up with a fat 0. Yeah. Little bit orcs, little bit. So yeah, back in the boardroom, who's to blame? They all really took ownerships of their own mistakes, which I found really admirable. I actually thought that did a lot of favours for them all, and it really did paint them in a good light. There were moments where they were blaming other people, but it was all very sort of like, if I had to choose someone, it would be this person because of this, and this, but like, I can't excuse my own actions, etc., etc. I think this is the most civilized boardroom we've had. Felicia was fired straight away just because of the branding. It made sense. The branding was a mess. The video was a mess. The logo was a mess. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But Felicia, the fact that you made it this far, absolutely incredible. Well done. Then Steve and Rachel then came back into the room and he was like, I'm going to decide what to do with you two. And basically Steve was trying to make a hard sell about his actual business proposition for that Lord Sugar's meant to be investing in. And it just kind of sounded like everything else on the market at the moment. Like, he was pitching like an app that was basically like Tinder but for friends. And I was like, mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. But we lost Steve. We did lose Steve. And Steve definitely was definitely a strong competitor. I thought that actually he never actually stepped a foot out of line, which I thought was quite impressive. I think there were moments where he was slightly weak or he wasn't as strong as he could be, but on the whole, I think Steve did a fantastic job. And I think once it gets down to this point in the show, it's whether Lord Sugar likes your business proposition or not. And if he doesn't, and he doesn't want to invest in you, you're not making it any further. And that's what I'm going to find like frustrating about next episode, the interviews, is because I already know who's won. I already know who makes it to the final. And I just really need to know how he justifies getting rid of some people. Because some people to me are the most investable. And I haven't heard their business propositions yet, but I'm interested to see what they're like. So that is all we've got time for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to keep on watching, keep on ranting, and like, subscribe, do all of that YouTube stuff that you guys do so well. We are on our way to 900, as I've said multiple times, and we are getting there slowly but surely. So hopefully we can get there by the end of May. That's my goal. Hopefully middle of May, because you guys like to mid-month switch it up on me. But I like that. So let's keep on going. Let's keep on ranting, and I'll see you guys later. Bye now.